History is very important. A lot of people try to forget history, but we got to learn what was good and also learn what was bad so we don't repeat it. The Revolutionary War was the beginning of America. It's how we all got here, how we got our freedoms. So I think hands-on learning, stuff like this, it helps people remember what you're telling them rather than just reading it in a textbook. My parents got me into it when I was 9 years old, so that's almost 40 years ago, and I still love doing it. Whether it's helping kids like this or doing events where it's mainly adults, everybody learns something. We all have a good time, and I love doing this. It's a lot of fun.
Well, what should people know about the OverMountain Victory Men and their importance in the Revolutionary War?
They were regular men. They weren't trained soldiers. They're what we call militia. So it's just farmers and just regular people that got together, were tired of what the British were doing. Met Ferguson down at Kings Mountain. He never thought he could be beat, and we actually ended up beating him. And a lot of people consider that the turning point for the Revolutionary War in the Southern Campaign, which was a huge turnaround for the Americans to start winning and eventually win the Revolutionary War, and we got our freedom from Britain. One of the most important things, I think, is right behind me is where a lot of the militia gathered together. This is a muster ground right back here. So people from this area gathered here and then went along the Yadkin River and went down and met the people that were coming from Virginia and from Tennessee, and they all got together and went down to Kings Mountain. So this right here is historical significance, just unreal, because this is where they gathered to march down there. So I started drumming when I was in 5th grade, and when I started reenacting, they were looking for a drummer. So I was like, okay, well I can do that, and I learned how to do some of the drumming that they did back then, how to play some of the songs and everything, some of the commands, and learning that the drum was used not only for playing music, for if they're having dinner or something like that, but when they're out on the field, it's used for giving commands. They line up for a long ways, in a straight line, and you have one person yelling commands. You got guns going off, cannons going off, people yelling. You're not going to be able to hear them. So they would use the drum to relay that message, because the drum is a whole lot louder than someone's voice. So the drum was basically their version of the radio. So it was able to get the commands out, so everybody was able to do the right thing at the right time.
My 7th great-grandfather, not direct ascendant, but he was my 7th great-grandfather, Captain Samuel Johnson. Of course, Robert was his peer, along with Captain William Lenore. Well, they were all captains in this OverMountain Men militia on the eastern side of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and they marched and fought together at Kings Mountain. My involvement with the OVTA stems from my former job. I'm a retired forest ranger, and I worked at Rendezvous Educational State Forest. And Rendezvous is believed to be one of the muster points of the North Carolina militia under Captain Robert Cleveland, who met atop of Rendezvous Mountain. So the militia met there and allegedly met up with Colonel Ben Cleveland's troop in what's now Wilkesboro, and marched up the river through what's now Fort Defiance and into the Catawba River Basin and down to Burke County. When I began in Rendezvous with the North Carolina Forest Service, Mary Boland came up and done an article for a local magazine and asked me a lot of questions, and found out that more about Rendezvous and my relatives in the Revolution. And since then, my daughter and I, Rebecca, has been a part of this interpretive activity in Yadkin and Surrey and Wilkes and even Caldwell County. We do a lot of stuff with them this time of year and enjoy it.
Okay, well, 6.5 years ago I retired from teaching, and I had done some research and discovered that a couple of my ancestors were at the Battle of Kings Mountain. And so I heard about this group called the OverMountain Victory Trail Association and contacted them and discovered that they do a 2-week march every year and trace the route that the OverMountain men actually took. And so, being retired, I said, okay, I'm gonna come do that. And after a little research, I discovered that 2 of those men that were my ancestors, they are my 5th great uncles. But I got involved in this group, and so I do this, and then what I figured out was there's lots more opportunities to talk about this. And so all year long, I do field trips and go to schools and different places and speak. And then, of course, one of my favorite things to do is come over here, because obviously this is where my ancestors actually started from. So it's something I really enjoy getting over here. And in fact, in the Wilkes History Museum over there, there is a gun on the wall in that Revolutionary room that is in memory of my uncle. And that's pretty cool to get to see that, since I've been a history nut all my life and never seen my name anywhere. So it was pretty cool to find my name in a historical place. My display is just my possibles. I've got some skins and just the kind of thing somebody would have carried with them back in that time. So I love letting the kids see it, but I also let them touch my stuff. So, most of the time when you go in a museum, you don't get to touch anything. And my philosophy is you can't learn nothing, just look. And that's like looking at it in a book. You don't really know. So I like getting them in there, and the kids get excited and love getting to touch stuff. And I get lots of really good questions, so it's just a great time to be able to do that. And this is an awesome, perfect place to do this. The kids get a little exercise, and there's just some great people around here doing this. So it is wonderful to be a part of.